The drug landscape has changed. Illegally manufactured fentanyl from China and Mexico has saturated the underground drug market. And it's a danger you won't see coming. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid up to 50 times stronger than heroin, up to 100 times stronger than morphine. It only takes a tiny amount to cause a fatal overdose. Just a fraction of a raindrop, or 3 grains of salt. Illegal dope doesn't come with an ingredients list. Fentanyl is being mixed into every kind of drug crossing the border. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and you can't taste it. Fentanyl is one of the most common drugs involved in overdose deaths. Know the dangers and learn ways to protect yourself, your family, and those you might come in contact with.
Life is to keep the deadening chemicals forever in their heart's blood. The cause of this living dead is a white powder, innocent looking, but deadly. Once this was a poppy growing in Italy or Turkey or some other hot land. The dried juice of this plant produces opium, a powerful drug. Contained in opium is morphine, used by doctors to relieve severe pain. From morphine comes heroin, outlawed even medically from the United States. These and other derivatives form the group of drugs called opiates.
Opiates are classed as depressants. An overdose causes unconsciousness, then death. A smaller dose, taken into the bloodstream, inhibits all the functions of the body by its action on the brain and the central nervous system. But the body gradually builds up a tolerance to the drug. More and more is needed to produce the same effect. After continued use, the body acquires a physical dependence on opiates, so that withdrawal of the drug causes a brief but violent illness, until the body can make a readjustment.
Are these your drugs?
Look, Dad, it's not...
Where did you get it?
Dad,
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Boy Scout Survival in Bushcraft. Today, we're going to be talking about opioid overdose response, or more specifically, how to utilize the drug naloxone hydrochloride, more commonly referred to as Narcan, to overcome the effects of an opioid overdose. So stay tuned, you're going to learn something. Narcan is a nasal spray deployment device. It's designed to rapidly reverse the effects of an opioid overdose. As you can see, I always keep at least one in my vehicle IFAC. Let me show you how to use it. Step 1, you're going to identify the suspected overdose and check for a response. Now, first things first, you come upon a person who is suspected to be experiencing the effects of an opioid overdose. You're going to want to check the scene. Make sure that it's safe for you to respond and safe for the person who's experiencing the overdose. Check for drug paraphernalia, possibly weapons, and other unsafe objects or persons in the area before you attempt to render aid. For educational purpose, I'm going to be utilizing Broby as my person experiencing opioid overdose. After I've checked to make sure that the scene is safe, I'm going to approach the person and I'm going to ask them if they're okay. If there's no response, the next thing I'm going to do is tap on their shoulders or shake their sternum in an effort to elicit a response. Their breathing, if it's slow, shallow, irregular, or non-existent. I'm also going to be monitoring their eyes to see if they have what we refer to as pinpoint or tiny pupils. All right, at this point, if there is a reasonable assumption that suspected opioid overdose person Broby is indeed experiencing an overdose, we're going to lay him flat on his back, and that's specifically to ensure that if his breathing is restricted through his lungs, his throat, or whatnot, that he will have an open airway. At this point, we can attempt to effect rescue via the nasal deployment system with Narcan. Even if the person is not experiencing an overdose, this is still an effective drug to utilize, and it is also safe on children as well as adults in advanced age. Bonus tip, you do not want to open these things up and leave them laying around in your kits or wherever, because it could accidentally depress the plunger and release the drug, and then you no longer have an effective tool to use if an emergency happens. Now, on the packaging, there is a folding tab. What you're simply going to do is you're going to peel that tab back. If you're going through a brain fart, there is a little how-to manual inside.
Do not test the nasal spray device before use. Narcan nasal spray is for use in the nose only and is safe to use even if opioids are not present.
But you're going to take your Narcan, hold it in between two of your fingers with your thumb. If you have a thumb, obviously, with your thumb to depress or press on your plunger. You're going to lightly insert the tip portion right here into the nasal cavity, and you're going to give one depression, which will administer one dose of the Narcan. You're going to continue to monitor the situation, see if the individual comes to, and if not, after approximately 2 to 3 minutes, you can administer another dose of the Narcan. But this time, switch nostrils just to assure that there's no obstruction in the person's nostrils. And then you can continue to do so if the person has yet to resuscitate. Before you wait that long period of time, your next step after deploying your first dose of Narcan will be to grab your phone and dial 911. You can alert individuals in the vicinity to contact 911 on your behalf, so you don't have to stop your first aid procedures. Let's say opioid overdose individual Broby is starting to come to. What I've seen personally in my career, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doses of Narcan have been administered to someone experiencing an overdose, they typically pop up like a dang zombie and freak out, not knowing where they are. All right, lastly, once you notice the individual starting to come to, or you can see that they're breathing normally and the Narcan has done its job, you're going to want to assist the individual roll onto their left side into what we call the recovery position, putting their right leg in front of them, bending their knee for stability, as well as taking their right hand and positioning it to where their hand is slightly under their face. So that way, if they need to vomit, it's not gonna roll back into their throat and cause them to choke, and then you have another emergency on your hands. And then you're gonna wait for the ambulance, emergency services, fire department, whoever, first responders to arrive on scene to relieve you, after which you can continue to support them, provide them an account of what had occurred, and move on from there. If you plan to add Narcan to your IFAC, vehicle first aid kit, bug out bags, backpack, what have you, I recommend that you carry at least 4 to 5 of these Narcan, as one does not always work for an opioid overdose. For more information about Narcan, how you can acquire it yourself, its uses, and safe practices, you can go to naloxonenasalspray.com, naloxone.com, narcan.com, and you can get yourself more information about these topics and these tools for you to study and practice on your own. All right, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. If you like what you see, please click that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more of the Last Boy Scouts survival and bushcraft. And as always, stay safe, stay vigilant. Knowledge is your weapon. Be prepared.
I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad. Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach. That stuff hurts. It stops you from living up to your potential. It holds you back. It hurts the user. It hurts his family. And it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using. So remember, don't, or else. Okay?